Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is part 1 of my series video showing you how I use August printable kit Romantic Roses to create a journal. In part 1, I'm going to introduce how I use this kit to make some cards, tags, and bookmarks. And also, before I show you everything, I will show you a short video on how I print and how I cut out my designs. Okay, let's get started. Many of you may be curious about how I cut my fuzzy cut designs. And here is a short video that is showing you how I print out my designs and then use my camera cutting machine to cut out the designs. On the following videos, I am showing you how I am using my August Patreon printout kit Romantic Roses to make a journal. First step is to print out all the designs. I'm using a laser printer and standard US letter size copy paper to print out all elements included in this kit. For the postcards and the cutouts, fuzzy cut, I'm using a 32-pound heavier copy paper. For the rest of the paper, I'm using 24-pound copy paper. After all pages are printed out, I will have to trim off all the white edges and cut out the postcards and the other fuzzy cuts. Now I'm going to speed up the video to save some time. Now all the cutting, printing, trimming have been finished. Now let's take a look at what we have from this beautiful kit. I have some, I think 3 large printable sheets and a few printable pages, some with colorful rose design, some has simple design, and also these are the whole sheet patterns. Those are great for pockets and folders and other things. And the one whole sheet of sticker I have already case cut it. And this one is belly band, and these are 2 cards and 4 postcards. With rose design on. And these are fuzzy cuts. This is a beautiful vintage frame with a beautiful lady holding a bouquet of rose in her hands, and some circles, 2-inch circles, and some scalloped edged tags and strips, and some more frames. This is what are included in this kit. Now I'm going to use these postcards to make some envelopes for the journal. To make this envelope, I'm going to use the envelope punch board made by We're Memory Keepers. These postcards measure approximately 5 by 3. So the envelope size, according to this board, is going to be, I'm going to use 3.5 by 5.5. So according to this chart, the paper size will be 7.5 by 7.5. So now I'm going to cut the paper to the size 7.5 and 7 by 7.5. I'm going to use this letter size vanilla colored paper, 24 pounds in weight. The score line is 3 inches. So I'm going to line up here and then punch and then score it along the score line on the board. Then turn 90 degrees. And next thing is to line up here with this score guide. And then punch and score on the score line. And do the same thing to the rest of the 2 sides. Here we are. This is the envelope. And the last thing I need to do is to round the corners. Now we finished the envelope. Now this is the finished envelope. I want to place the postcard in the center of the front of the envelope. So I'm going to decorate around the edges on the envelope. I'm going to use stencils this time. This is my favorite stencil template. It's beautiful floral. So I'm going to use this to decorate the edges of this envelope. It's just the right size to cover the envelope. I'm going to protect my table desktop using this parchment paper. Make sure you press it down firmly. Since I only need the edges to be decorated, so I'm gonna just put my ink around the edges. It turned out so pretty. Now I just need to glue this postcard on the envelope. Before I do that, I'm going to distress the edges of this card. I didn't print these images on heavy cardstock because I want to glue this onto something else. So if I printed this on heavyweight paper, it's going to be too much weight, too bulky for the journal. So And I also going to distress the edges of this envelope. Just make it look a little vintage, distressed. And then next up is very simple. Just glue this card on the envelope. You can use any kind of glue. Today what I'm gonna use is the glue stick I bought at Walmart. It's very inexpensive. Alright, this is envelope number 1. If you want to, you can use something to decorate the back. It's going to according to where you're going to put it inside your journal. So I'm going to make decision later on when I'm going through the process of making my journal. And now I'm going to make another envelope using this card. This card has that grayish, kind of blue grayish color. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a different color paper. This is lavender. I think this color matches better. So now I'm going to cut this paper to the size required to make the envelope. Seven and a half by 7.5. Again, line up on the 3 inches mark, punch and score. Turn around 90 degrees, line up the guide, score and punch. Or punch and score, it's up to you. Then I'm going to round the corners. Make sure fold it along the scored line. Looks perfect. I'm gonna use the same stencil, but this time I'm gonna use different ink. This is gray waterproof ink. I like this ink. I think this is so pretty. And then repeat the steps. Distress the edges of this postcard. This time I'm going to use the same ink to distress this. It's looking good. I'm going to do the same around the envelope. Now I'm gonna put glue on the back of this card. Make sure to center it the best I can do. Okay, this is my second envelope. First one, second one. After I made these 4 bookmarks, I have some leftover paper, cardstock. I'm gonna use this leftover cardstock to use them as backing of these 2 tags. So first of all, I need to stencil these two cards, stencil the edges like these. I'm going to use the same stencil template. I'm stenciling these two cards at the same time to save time. And it is possible to do it this way, so why not? Just make sure you hold it down firmly so you won't shift. And when you brush the ink down, do not brush too hard. All right. I'm going to glue this down first and then trim the edges. I like this purple glue because you can see where you put the glue, where you didn't. You can leave them this way and trim them later on when you going through the journal making, or trim it down now. I think I'm going to just go ahead and trim them. I'm gonna leave all the edges around this tag the same width, so it's about, I'm gonna use this as a guide. Trim just a tiny little bit on this side. And then I am going to carefully trim this side. I'm just eyeballing it. I did not measure. You can measure if you want to. So this is tag number 1. Do the same thing to the second tag. think this looks perfect. And then I'm gonna round the corners. Then I'm going to punch a hole in here. And these are the two finished tags. I also want to distress the edges of these two tags. So now these two tags are finished. So far we made 4 bookmarks or tags. If punch a hole over here on the top, we can use this as tags as well. We made 2 tags and 2 envelopes. And next, I'm going to do something to these 2 cards. I believe I'm going to use these 2 as pockets in my journal. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to round the corners and then distress the edges. So these are ready for making pockets in my journal.